What is a man? That's today's topic. What is a man? Welcome to the Men's League. Your host, Marcus Lewis. This is the first episode, so we're just going to get right into it. A lot of men have this question, even a lot of women have this question: what is a man? What is the functionality of a man? What is a man supposed to do? Okay? Just because you were born a male doesn't make you a man. So what changed you from a male to a boy to a man? Being a man is very essential in today's world. It's always been essential, but I think the definition of a man has changed in what a man is supposed to look like. Also, too, what you see about people telling you what a man is supposed to be is coming from different sources that are not men. I don't really agree with that. I believe a man can tell a man what is a man. I believe a woman can help a man, but she can't tell him what a man is supposed to be. That comes from examples from other men and stuff like that. So let's get into it. Let's start to it. You know, we're just doing this. We're just running it off. We're just having a conversation because there's a lot of young men out there that don't understand what a man is, what a man is supposed to be. So the first thing you have to say is, what is a man? What does that look like? What do you want to be as a man? Then you start from there. We definitely let society redefine manhood. It definitely has changed a lot. You know, back in the day, you used to be provider and making money, and that's it. And then now it's you have to be a high value man, high earner, and all of that. So these young men are looking at this and saying, "Am I a man just because I don't have a lot of money? What makes me a man?" You know, a man is very essential. You know, but the difference between a boy and a man is a boy wants to be liked. A male wants to be liked. A man wants to be respected no matter what. So the one thing you can say about being a man is you have to command respect. And you can give that by giving respect, but you have to always let people know around you that you don't care about love, you don't care about being liked. You care about being respected. And that's the big thing about that. The reason why a lot of men are leaving households or, there's a lot of divorces is because they don't feel respected. That's point blank period with men. We just want to be respected. So, yes, it's sad that a man leaves his home, but it gets so bad for him because he doesn't feel respected. We don't care about love. We don't care about being liked. We just care about being respected. Here's a crazy stat. 63% of youth suicides come from fatherless homes. So when men disappear, the structure collapses, and you can't ignore the numbers. So that just tells you again, men value respect so much that they leave the home. But when they leave the home, it affects the children. So what else do you need to be a man? Well, there's a lot of things. But the first one is discipline. A man must have discipline. No matter what you do, you have to have some type of discipline to do it every day. It's easy to do things when you like doing it. It's easy to do things when things are great. But can you do things when it's not great? Can you do things when you don't like doing it? That's the difference between a man and a boy right there. The discipline is going to carry you through no matter what. So if you don't care how your day is going, you're going to make sure you're going to do X, Y, and Z no matter what. That's discipline. You can, for example, let's say this. You want to work out, but you're working out on the days that you feel good. So every day you wake up, you feel good, you work out. But then the day that you wake up, you feel super tired and you don't work out, you're lacking discipline. You're lacking discipline to push through things even though the situations aren't perfect for you. So discipline is a huge thing for men because men also want consistency. So you're going to get consistency through discipline. So the more that you are disciplined in every single thing that you do, the more consistency you will have. So the consistency and the discipline go hand in hand. So that's the one thing about discipline. It really helps a man. It really sets a man straight in his path and say, I'm going to be disciplined with this no matter what, whether that's with your weight, whether that's with your job, whether that's with your love and affection you give to your kids and to your wife. You have to be disciplined to continue to do it every single day even on days you don't feel like doing it. Discipline is greater than motivation, okay? Because motivation only works when you have motivation, but discipline works at all times. So if you can lock in on that discipline and have that, now you have that one pillar of becoming a man is discipline. Not a lot of men have that. You know, if you look at men that are married and they're cheating on their wives, they lack discipline. Because once you're married, you're supposed to just stay with that woman. So if you don't have the discipline to stay with your wife, then how are you going to have discipline with working out? How are you going to have discipline in business? How are you going to have discipline with your kids? So discipline plays a huge role for men. So that's the number one thing you must have to be a man is discipline. You must have that discipline to continue to do something no matter what. The second pillar of being a man is responsibility. You got to be responsible for everything that you do. You have to take responsibility of your actions. If you messed up, but you take responsibility and you move on from there. A lot of men that are not men, they're boys, they don't take responsibility. They just, hey, I did this, but I didn't do it. It's not my fault. I blame my wife. I blame my kids. I blame my parents. I blame my circumstances. You're not taking responsibility for what you did. So you have to be able to take responsibility of your actions no matter what. If you failed, it's okay. But if you take responsibility of, that's the first step of getting through that failure, and then you learn your lesson from that failure, and then you're going to grow. But a lot of men that are pointing fingers at other men or women or blaming people for their circumstances, they're not taking responsibility. And it's hard to take responsibility. Not all men are perfect. Not everybody's been taking responsibility from the beginning. Hey, sometimes it's like a natural reaction, right? Oh, it's not my fault. You find somebody else to blame for your actions. You find somebody else to blame for your struggles and your failures. You can't do that. You got to just be like, you know what? I take responsibility. It's my fault. I shouldn't have done that. I made the wrong decision. You know, a lot of men don't take responsibility for cheating on their wives. Oh, my wife did this wrong. And she was like this, and she was like this, and she was like this. So now you're not taking responsibility of your actions. You still cheated on your wife, right? You still did these things to hurt your marriage. You have to take responsibility. Men take responsibility of their actions. It's hard to do, but you must do it in all situations. So first one is discipline. Second one is responsibility. The third one is leadership. Men are supposed to be leaders. But your leadership is not tied to how much money you make. That's where society's getting it wrong with men. They're saying, well, if you don't make money, if you don't make more money than I do, then we're not going to listen to you, so you're not a leader. Men are supposed to be leaders of the household. Men are supposed to be leaders in the world. That's just the way it was created. Don't argue with me. It is what it is. But your leadership is not tied to your money. Your leadership is tied to your examples that you're setting. It's tied to your principles and your values. So if you're doing that, you are considered a leader. But don't stray away from leadership. Leadership is hard. But leadership is what? Discipline, and you have to have responsibility. But then you have leadership. So leadership is not an easy thing for men. Some men take a while to learn leadership. You can't be a leader overnight. Typically, leadership is learned from previous leaders before you, from their success and their failures. But what society's pushing today, especially what women are pushing today, is, well, if you don't make a lot of money, or if you make more money than I do, then I won't listen to you. You can't have that mentality. You can't fall into that. A woman that thinks that about a man does not value that man for who he is. She just values his money. So don't get in a relationship where they say, if you don't make the money, then I'm not going to listen to you. Because a man is supposed to lead. You are put on this earth to lead. You know, you can lead just your family. You can lead your company. You can lead the state. You can lead the city. You can lead America. Who cares? But you're supposed to be a leader. That's just what men are built for. Don't argue with me. Some people might not like that, but you're supposed to be a leader. You're supposed to take up and lead your life, right? Take leadership in your own life. Be a leader in your life. Don't just sit back and just wait for things to happen and blame people and all of that. You have to be a leader with yourself. So how do you get leadership? You look at the examples that you have before you. Hopefully you had a father that helps you out and that you can see his example. Uncles, grandfathers. There's many forms of leadership. There's many leadership styles. There's not just being an alpha leader and just rah, 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 punking everybody, pushing everybody. That's not a leader. That's a leadership type, but that's not like the ultimate only one size fit all leader. You have to be able to want to be a leader of how your circumstances are. But you have to start leading with yourself. Lead yourself. Whether that's getting up, whether that's loving your family, whether that's going to work, whether that's all these other things that you need to do. Be a leadership for yourself first. Lead yourself. I'm going to ask you this question. If you were in a group and you were the leader, would you trust your leadership? Would you follow your own leadership? If you were a leader of a group and you were just somebody else and you were the leader, would you follow yourself? That's a question you need to ask yourself. Because if the answer is no, then you need to work on your own leadership. You need to lead yourself. So that's one of those things that you have to do as far as that is being a leader. Leadership is not easy, like I said, but hopefully you have examples. Hopefully you see people that are being leaders so you can bring that on. But a leadership is very important because you're leading the next generation. You're being an example for the next generation. So make sure that you don't take that lightly. Being a leader is very important. The last one is legacy. What will they say about you when you're gone? We do things for the here and now. As men, we want to do things now. We want to show our success now. We want to show the things that we're doing now. But are you thinking about what you're going to leave behind? And then we're going to go not talking about money. Men, we always talk about money. I feel like that's the root of all evil because we're so focused on money, so we don't care about anything else. But is your legacy going to be one of those things that people say, man, he was a great guy. He did things the right way. Do you take pride in caring about what you leave behind? But your legacy is not always about you. Your legacy really is in your kids, right? Because if you're setting a good example, if you're being a leader, if you're being responsible, if you're being disciplined, your legacy is your kids, and they're going to do the same thing. So you left a great legacy in your kids. So think about it like that. Don't think about money. Don't think about how much money will I leave behind. Will people say I made a lot of money? But will people look at your kids and say they had a good father in their life, they had a good man in their life? Because the kids are the direct reflection of what type of man that you are. That's the crazy thing. I have 2 daughters, and you see the things that I used to do or the things that I do now, they do it. And I don't really harp on them with things. I just, try to lead by example. That's just not my leadership style. I lead by example. But your kids are your direct reflection of you. Your kids are your legacy. So if you do have kids or if you don't have kids, whenever you have kids, your legacy is your kids. You look at them, if they're doing well, if they're thriving, if they're being good, if they're just following the same example that you're setting, then you left a great legacy. But your legacy can be bad. If you're slouching, if you're sitting on the couch, if you're not playing with them, if you're not going, supporting them, if you're not talking to them, then they're going to grow up the same way. 100%. The kids are the direct reflection of you. You don't even have to wait till they get older. When they are in that age of growing up and, from 1 to, 18, that transition in them, you're going to start seeing more and more of yourself in them. And the funny thing is your kids won't even think that they're being like you, but you'll see like, oh, that's what I do. That's what I do. That's my type of humor. Where did they get that from? It's because they're around you and they adore you and they see you every day. So you're the example. So 4 things that a man should, 4 things for a boy to go to a man is 1 is discipline. Got to have discipline. Discipline over motivation. Number 2, you got to have leadership. You got to have leadership. You got to be able to want to lead. You have to be in charge of leading. You have to lead yourself first. Then you can lead others. Number 3 is responsibility. You have to take responsibility for your actions. Don't play the blame game. Men, you're going to mess up. It just happens. That's life, man. I can tell you a lot of times that I messed up and then, I'll be like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. And, 10 years later, I look at it like, yeah, that was definitely my fault. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why. I don't know. What was I thinking? But I'm a man. Back then I was a boy. It's all about your mentality. Number four. Number four is legacy, right? What legacy do you leave behind? But your legacy, but think about it like this: your legacy is not monetary. Take the money out. What are your kids going to be after you leave? What examples did you leave for your kids? What examples would your kids, base their life off of? Your kids are your legacy. Get out the money. It's not about money. You can't take the money with you when you die. You make the money. Yeah, we all like to have money. It's great. But your kids are your legacy. So don't think about what will people say about you when you're gone. What will people say about your kids when you're gone? Because that's your legacy. If you're doing it right, you have a great legacy. Your kids will be good kids. Your kids will have a great example. If you're doing it wrong, you're setting your kids up for failure. So make sure that you are setting a good example, because that's what's going to impact your legacy. Here's a thing about children and men. Here's another stat. 85% of all children with behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. So fatherless homes doesn't mean, fatherless homes does mean if a father's not there. But also fatherless homes mean when the father is there, but he's not there in their face. He's not there setting the example. He's not having his purpose every day working with his kids. He's just gone mentally. He's ignoring his kids. He's not playing with his kids. That is a fatherless home too. So as you see, there's a direct correlation with kids' failures with fatherless homes. That's being a man. When you have kids, you become a father. But if you're not setting an example, well, we have high suicide rates and we have high child behavior disorders. Men play a big role in society, but society is trying to give us a different role, but the stats don't lie. Fathers are important. Men are important. Men are supposed to do certain things to keep the structure in the home, but also to keep the structure in society. Okay? I'm going to speak to the everyday man. Being a man is not easy. Being a man is one of those situations where you have a lot of pressure. But being a man doesn't mean you have to not have emotions. Being a man doesn't mean that you can't be thoughtful, you can't be spiritual. I hate seeing things where people are saying, oh, a man is an alpha man. If you're not an alpha man, or if you're not making millions and millions of dollars, you're not a man. That's just setting up the new generation up for failure, super failure. So the one thing I want to tell you is, there's a couple of things I want to tell you. You're not soft if you become tired, if you're emotional, if you're thoughtful. You're not soft. That doesn't make you soft. Only time you're soft is just when you quit. When you quit on your wife, when you quit on your kids, when you quit on yourself, when you just quit on life. That's the only thing that can make you soft as a man, is when you just quit. You just don't want to do it. But if you're tired and you need a break, or if you're emotional, it's okay. You're still a man. You're a human being. Don't get stuck into what people are saying, where it's like, oh, well, you're not a rah 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 all. There's nobody that's a rah 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 all day. That's how much energy that takes. It's impossible. The second thing I want to say is that leadership starts at home. Leadership also starts with you first. You have to lead yourself first. Lead yourself first. And that's before you have a wife, before you have kids. Lead yourself first. Take care of yourself. Put yourself in a position to where you can lead others. You can learn leadership, obviously, through the examples you have before you. But you can practice this leadership with yourself. And then once you're leading yourself, you can ask yourself, would I trust myself as a leader? Because before you date, before you have kids, before you start a business, you have to be comfortable with leading. Leading is one of those things that you're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to continue to set the standard consistently. And not a lot of people are leaders. Not a lot of people can lead. But being a leader every day, showing up every day consistently, it's not easy. So make sure you understand that leadership starts with yourself first. But then once you have a wife and kids, it's going to start at home. It's going to start with you showing up every day, doing the things, saying what you do, moving around, doing things, simple things, making your bed, controlling your emotions. That's another thing for men. We have to control our emotions. I'm not saying you can't be emotional, but the main emotion that men have is anger. Don't be quick to anger, because that's frustration, and a lot of people make a lot of bad decisions because they're angry. Another thing, as a leader, you have to lead your woman, no matter what emotions that she may have. If she's feeling down, if she's feeling up, if she's feeling this, she's feeling that, you still have to lead your woman. And don't pick somebody that's going to always try to gain leadership in the home. A woman is not supposed to lead the household, for sure. A man is supposed to lead the household. I know some people might not like that, but the man is for leading the household. But a man shouldn't have a woman that's always going to challenge him to be a leader, because if you have kids, your kids will see that. A woman must understand that a man is supposed to be a leader. Also, too, in your leadership as a man, as a father, as a husband, you will still fail. So you must have a partner that understands that if you fail, you're still the leader of the household. That is not getting thrown in your face. I've never heard of a perfect leader. I never heard of a leader that's just perfect, 100%. I used to play professional basketball. It's like shooting 25 for 25 from three-point line. Never happened. So as a leader, you have to understand that you're going to fail. Things are going to happen, and that's all right. But you must have a partner that understands that too, because you don't want to have a partner that's going to challenge you. No man wants to be challenged in their home. No man should be challenged in their home. It's okay for your wife to have her opinion. Of course, you must have an opinion, and you must respect that opinion. But there shouldn't be a struggle for control or for leadership in the home. I really believe that. I really believe that men are supposed to lead, because that's what we are born to do. So the next one I want to say is, stop outsourcing your manhood. That means do the things that you're supposed to do in the household. Okay? Do more than just being a paycheck, being a provider. That's not a man. That's just a person that gives money to his family and takes care of his family. A man is monetary, emotionally, and spiritually. A lot of men, we do 1 out of 3 and think that's enough. And also society makes you think that's enough too when you do 1 out of 3, but it's not. A man must cover all 3 bases, okay? You got to be there financially, financially or physically, right? Mentally, spiritually. You got to check those boxes. Just because, you are the breadwinner and you're making money for the family, that does not make you a man. I know a lot of men don't want to hear that, because we think that, or we're also being told that by society, is that as long as you make the money, you're a man and you'll be respected. But you have to do the spiritual, and you have to be there emotionally as well, especially for your kids, okay? You have to show them that a man covers those bases, not just, oh, my dad makes money and he's never here. Or my dad makes money and he comes home, eats dinner, and go to sleep. Yeah, you can't do that. So you can see to be a man, it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of pressure if you don't know what to do or who to talk to. But you have to be there more than just your paycheck. You know, I think it's easy just to have a paycheck and then take care of your family and then that's it. But the emotionally and spiritually, that steps you up to being a man. Don't just think that you're making money and you pay for everything. Okay, cool, whatever. You're not a man if you're not there for your family emotionally or spiritually. And don't let society fool you and think that you're just a man. You're a high value man because you make the money, you take care of everybody. So now you're a high value man. Don't fall into that. It's a trap. It's a trap just to trap men and to put them in a bad situation. So I definitely want to say that don't outsource your paycheck. Don't outsource your job to just being a paycheck and making you think that you're a man. Okay? So I definitely want you guys to listen to this and share this with some people, with some men and some women too, though, because some women need to understand what a man is as well. But I definitely, with this channel, I just want people or men to really just listen to what I'm saying. I'm not, I'm not a master's or high psychologist or anything, but I can tell you I have a PhD in being a man because I am a man. So who else to learn from being a man is from a man. No, I'm not perfect, but a real man can say that. A man is not perfect. Okay, a man is not somebody that doesn't make mistakes and doesn't have failures. Great men have failures, but it's what you do with those failures is what's going to make you a better man and how you react to it. Are you going to quit? Are you going to be emotional, which is anger? Or are you going to just say, all right, cool, this happened. Now, how do I make myself better? How do I grow from this? So I can definitely say, like, right now, when you look at society, the world and society is telling men you got to make a lot of money to be considered a man. But the crazy thing is, though, they want us to be quiet. They want us to be passive, and they want us to be obedient. But men aren't built for that. We're built for a lot more than that. We're built to be leaders. We're built to set examples for the youth. We're built to help the youth. We're built to be spiritual. A man is not just in a box. I talk about that a lot on my Instagram, is that society try to put men in a box. A man is this. He makes a lot of money, and that's it. He doesn't cry. He's not emotional, and that's it. That's what society says about men. But men we're way more than that, and we have to understand that we're way more than that, and we have to move towards that. Because men, I'm not gonna say, I'm gonna say we're amazing when we're locked in. When I see a man, it's crazy though. When I used to play professional basketball, and after that, I retired. Next, I was a full-time dad to 2 little girls. Ego got into me in the beginning. It was like, well, real men don't do this. Real men don't babysit kids. Real men don't pick their kids up from school. I used to have that mentality. So like I said, I'm not perfect. But the funny thing is, though, when I had my daughters, and they were young babies, right? One was like 1 and some change, and the other one was 3 or 4. When I would take them to the park, when I first was taking them to the park, I used to take them all different parks all through LA, just try to switch it up for them. It would be all moms, and I was the only dad. But then when I'm talking to these moms, they was like, you're more than any man that I ever seen. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because you here with your kids, with your 2 little girls, you taking them to the park all by yourself. And I'm like, what? So like my view changed. I'm like, but yeah, a man is supposed to be there for his kids. A man is supposed to adapt. A man is supposed to be like, you know what, this is what we'll do. Yeah, I still had some tough times because I did want to work. Men want to work. But I start to see that I'm building a relationship with my kids that not a lot of men do or want to do. I built a relationship with my kids when they're babies. I'm changing diapers. I'm taking them to school. I'm picking them up from school. I'm in the classes with them. It's just stuff like that. Like not that's not really what dads do. I got another funny thing. My daughter's teacher. It was a couple years ago. My daughter's teacher was like telling us about our daughter in class, blah blah blah. And I know my daughter. She's an amazing kid. She's smart. So I'm like, I didn't understand what the teacher was talking about. Through an email. So I said, well, let's set up a parent conference. My wife couldn't make it, but I was like, I'll be there. So she's like, okay. She's like, okay, Mrs. Lewis. I said, no, this is Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis is going to be there. Oh. Great teacher. But when I got there, she was like, out of all my years of teaching, I probably only had 3 parent-teacher conferences with men, with the dads. Because dads really don't care. Dads are not really present with their kids' school. And I was like, no, I'm pretty present. Nothing was wrong with my daughter. I just didn't understand what she was saying, so we had to clarify. But it's better to clarify with things when I'm in your face. But that's what it is. Society is not used to men being present, but also too, society don't really want men present. They just want them to make the money and that's it. So as a man, you have to want to be present. You have to want to, be an example for your kids, be an example for your wife. You have to be responsible. You have to be disciplined. You have to lead. Being a man is special when you're fulfilling all of these things that you're supposed to fulfill. But if you're just giving out a paycheck and you're just making money and giving it to your family, yeah, you're taking care of your family, but you're not fulfilling the full roles of a man. So if you're not doing that, I'm not saying you're not a man. I would just say make an effort. Pick your kids up from school. Walk your kids to school. Talk to your kids after school. Be involved a little more. Just be present. Those times when your kids are growing up is precious. But those times that your kids are growing up, they're watching you and you're an example. So just make sure that, hey, it's okay. Just know that you're more than a paycheck. Just know that you have to put the effort forward to be present. And do as much as you can. Don't kill yourself now. Because I tell you this, man, being a dad with kids and, I feel like kids got so much going on, man. It make me tired, And then you want to practice with your kids, but then you want to build your own business. So you got to have some type of balance. But I would just say, just be there for your kids a little more. Be there for your wife a little more. Be present. And just understand, that you're more than just a paycheck. Okay? But yeah, this is the first episode of Men's League. With Men's League, like I said, I just try to talk about issues that we're going through, what we need to hear, more positive vibes. I'm not a rah-rah type of guy. But I just think that men need to understand and talk and have some type of community to where he's not being judged. We're not perfect. We do some things well and we do some things horrible. But it's all about the willingness to learn, the willingness to do your thing, and become a man. Nobody's gonna be perfect. Men are not perfect. Women aren't perfect. But if you can just strive for greatness, you can strive for perfection. You can strive to do your best. But you're gonna fail sometimes, and it is what it is. But I just want to say to you, if you're a male watching this, whatever you're doing, as long as you continue to contribute to yourself, contribute to your family, emotionally, physically, spiritually, keep on doing that. If you have the effort, I just want to tell you, keep going, keep pushing. Good job. More men are needed, less males are not needed, or less males are not needed, or males aren't needed, but men are needed. I'm not even going to edit this either. This is going to be unedited. I'm just telling y'all right away because editing takes forever. But anyway, we need more men. We don't need males. We don't need boys. We need more men is you see how society is now. It's kind of lost because the taking away of masculinity has happened. Men are not looked at in the same regard, and they're not being respected. So, just want to tell you, if you are being a man, if you're doing the things you're trying to do, and you're trying, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but you're trying. I just want to tell you, good job. Keep pushing, keep doing your thing, keep going. Don't worry about anybody else's approval. Just know that you're putting the effort in. Just know that you're going. I just want to tell you, thank you. Thank you for trying. Thank you for trying to provide that example. Because what we do now as men is going to affect the generation after us, and the generation after them, and the generation after them. So we hold, you know, a high regard for the future. We impact the future. So I just tell the men out there, keep trying. The young men that's watching this, I hope you learned something from this. I really like talking to young men because you haven't been through life yet. The one thing I can tell you to tell to young men is, if you do know older men, if you do know any men's group, go to those groups. Go to those groups and just listen to the experiences of older men. The best way to avoid something is to learn from people that have already went through it. The best thing for young men, I feel like, as a young man, that you need to be doing, you need to be talking to older men and just listening. I think the generation today doesn't listen. They get information so fast, so they think they know it all. But there's nothing like getting experience from people that's done it. There's nothing like getting experience from men that are married for 20, 30 years, or men that have kids, because they can help you and show you what you should and shouldn't do. It's essentially a cheat code for you. The one thing I regret in my younger life is I regret not, I watched my stepdad, be a man, which was great for me. That was amazing. But what I regret is not having more conversations with him like I do now about being a man, being a father, being a husband. Because a lot of things that I could have learned when I was younger, I could have avoided through my life, coming up through college and playing professional basketball and just life. I go to a men's group myself at my church, and it's been amazing because you get to talk to people that's done it. I've been married for 13 years, but I got people in my group that's been married for 40 years. So I'm learning from them. But the crazy thing is, though, too, they learning from me. So as men, you have to be willing to learn no matter the age. But I definitely tell young men, my advice to young men, if you're watching this, I hope you're watching this, is find yourself a group of older men that's been doing things, that's been doing life way longer than you. Be around them. Be a sponge. That's just like when I played basketball, I try to be around the vets because they've been through all this stuff. You just learn. And then you get to avoid those pitfalls. They'll tell you, don't step there, because I remember I stepped there and this is what happened. So as a young man, I would definitely tell you, find yourself an older group of men, listen, young man, father, if you have a father in the household, that's amazing. Pick his brain. Have real conversations. Men, we want to talk, but sometimes it's hard to talk. But we want to talk. It's just hard to talk. But find those men that you think you want to model yourself afterwards and ask them questions. Learn. And then as older men that's getting asked these questions, that's how we help the generation after us. Answer those questions. Don't push them away. Say, hey man, what you want to learn? Come on, let's talk about it. Let's get a coffee. Let's go get something to eat. Because you can learn a lot from people that's been doing it longer than you. So I would definitely tell the young men that. But yeah, so this is the first episode, man. What is a man? All these episodes are going to be unedited. I'm not editing anything because, like I said, man, we not perfect. I'm not perfect. I just throw it on, put it on the YouTube, and hope you guys, love this episode. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel, Late Bloomer Media. We got all type of stuff. But this is the first episode. I just want you guys to keep pushing, keep doing your thing, and take pride in being a man. Talk to y'all later.